Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Ustada Dania. So we are going to just do a quick video showing our lesson plans in our organization. So we're going to go ahead and look at Surah An-Nas. All right, so we have a Surah An-Nas storybook here. And then you can see on the right side, we have many different activities and such. We have a little about this course. Okay, so then we also have a what you'll learn page here. It just talks about the main points and goals for teachers to remember that these are some of the things that they need to talk about and explain to our students. So over here, we have our flashcards for Surah Nas for memorization and practicing the recitation of it. So for example, we have it here word by word, and we also have the definition on the bottom of each Arabic word. So this way, the teachers are able to, break the surah up word by word and explain, if they want to do it verse by verse, or in some cases, word by word is better. For example, if a student doesn't know the meaning of Rab, what does Rab mean? This is a great point where a teacher can stop and just focus on the word Rab. It means your creator, your nourisher, the one who protects you, the one who sustains you, the one who gives you food and drink, the one who loves you, the one who cares for you, and so forth. And we have our storybook here. So for example, let me put this on full screen. Okay, so we start off with the full Surah Nas. So we would go over the surah and recite it completely together. And then we will talk about each verse on its own. And we have pretty little illustrations over here for kids. So the first verse, Rabb of mankind, is Allah. And here's a picture of just, mankind in general. So, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas. Say, I seek refuge in the Rabb of mankind. Let's read together. We should seek protection only from Allah who governs mankind. So we would break this verse, and we would really just explain this verse. So in our modules, we only focus on around 1 to 3 verses per class because we like to go in depth so kids really understand what the verse is talking about. So for example, just a small snippet of what I would teach a student here. Say we would talk about what refuge means. We would go over what Rab means as well. Over here, obviously in English translation, it's not the best translation. We have Lord here, but we would go over what does that mean and mankind. And we would do a small little discussion on what are some things we can seek refuge for? What are some things that you need protection for? And we would talk about, obviously, also how does Allah protect us and things of that sort. So that's just an example. And then so on would be the same sort of flow to the rest of the verses. So these picture icons here, they're just a kind of like a illustration of what the next verse is about. So for example, this verse 2 is about authority. So we have a little crown that represents like a king. And we know the next verse talks about authority, the king of mankind. Okay? All right, let's continue here. Then we have a main activity book. So these are activities we will do in class. So for students, it is highly recommended that parents buy or provide certain supplies to do these activities together. But if not, no problem. It's just always better for kids to learn, more hands-on and stuff. But if you are not able to do that, that's totally okay. So I'm just going to skip over one of my favorite activities for Surah Nas, which is these whispering pipes. So in verse 4, Allah describes people who whisper bad things into our hearts. How do these bad thoughts enter our hearts? Let's do an experiment to see how whisper travels. So we're going to have it says PVC pipes or kitchen towel rolls work perfectly fine. You don't need PVC pipes. And aluminum bowl or really any bowl works. So it's just like, we're going to take the paper towel roll and we're going to, whisper into it, and we're going to put our hand at the end. And we see how the hand represents us saying, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, or doing different du'as for protection, and how it can block the whispers. And then we remove the hand from the bottom of the PVC pipe or the kitchen towel rolls, and we whisper again, and we see how the whisper is more clear and travels outside of the roll or the pipe. So it's just, a fun little activity that kids really enjoy doing. Okay, we also have animations. So, for example, here,
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس.
so again, at this stage, we're just going to do some reflections and just maybe summarize the verse. Every teacher is going to have their own sort of different method to the lessons, whatever works best for that teacher and what they feel works best for their student. It could vary student by student. For example, some students, they would appreciate more information at this point, and others, they might need more of a summary of what we had already talked about. So it just depends. We also have video activities. Okay, here's this one. So there were some activities in the activity book that we skipped over. So we also have some videos for some of them, especially if the student does not have the materials to do the activities, then we can go over it with this video, or the teacher, does the activity live and explain each step. So we're just making positivity flowers to deter evil whispers from Shaitan and the evil people among humankind. Okay. Then we also have video story times for each of our surahs.
Assalamualaikum. Hi children, today we are going to learn about Surah An-Nas. And what is the meaning of An-Nas? An-Nas means all the people. It is you, teacher, your father, your mother, and everyone in this world. So, this surah is very special because it talks about us. This surah has 6 ayat and it was sent down to our
So yeah, this is going to be also a bit of a summary, but also new knowledge we would talk about. For example, she mentioned it's 6 ayah. So that is something we had not talked about before. So we're going to have different points in this video by this ustada here, that all teachers and all students are going to have access to these videos to supplement their own teaching. So this one is one of my favorite things about our course, is reciting with action. This is something very different. So I'm going to actually put a different surah recitation with action here. It's something available on YouTube for public view, and it's also linked on our website.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Ma aghna anhu maluhu wa ma kasab. Sayasla narul zata lahab. Wa imra'atuhu hammalatal hatab. Fi jidha hablum min masad.
So we also have another video, 60-second Surah An-Nas. So we have a bit of reflections and such for each verse. And we also have an introduction video here. So as you can see, we have so many different videos and activities here. And then we also finally have Surah game. So for example, rearrange the verse. So for example, we have Rabbin Nas Auzu. So which word is wrongly placed? Qul. So our verse starts with Qul. So we're going to put that here. Okay. And then there is a different word that also is not in the right place. Auzu. So we're going to put Auzu in its correct place. There we go. So then this is just for throughout all of the verses of Surah An-Nas here. And then we also have another game here. So then your question might be, there are so many things here. How is one class going to look like? Because obviously we cannot go through all of this in one class, right? Because our class sessions are 30 minutes. It is really up to the teacher on how she decides what flow will work for her student or his student that day. So for example, we'll start with the introduction of Surah An-Nas. Then we'll go ahead and do either a story time, or we will start with the storybook over here. It just depends really on where the student is at, the order on which we will go through. But we will go through everything in the lesson. So let's say we do the introduction video with Ustaz Yusra, and then we do the storybook. Then maybe we'll do an activity after the storybook. And then perhaps we will just do some, self-reflections and talk and things like that. At the start of each class, I apologize, we will do recitation with action. That has to be for each class. So this will help the student memorize and also pronounce correctly, does ayah. And then perhaps we can just go over another video. So for example, the video story time we can go over, or if the student just needs more help in their recitation or understanding of the verses, then perhaps we can just go for the flashcard for Surah An-Nas, and then we can end with a surah game. So it really depends where the student is at, what the teacher feels is best for the student on what to do on that day. And, every child is different. So there we go. That is our, small little insight into our course. A lot of activities for our students to focus on, and that was our main goal for Little Muslim Learners, is that we wanted to teach Quran in a way where students will connect to it the best, in a kid-friendly way. I know most of us, we probably learned it with a lot of strictness. So this is a way for students to learn with fun, with activities, and a lot of open discussion. We're going to have a lot of Q&As in our session. We're going to have discussions. We're going to be asking students questions, and we're going to try to build their confidence and, kind of create a safe space for our students. All right, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys sign up for this course. Assalamu alaikum.